Paris. We're here because we were boot camping here, and we're here because it was going to be difficult for me to travel too much. Just had a son. I mean, I know it's public information now. Just had a baby, so basically trying to be at home as much as I can outside of the boot camp hours, and was not super keen on flying out every day. TI qualifiers, I mean, big disappointment, of course. I mean, the preparation leading to TI qualifiers was pretty poor. It was not good. We actually prepared for a while and a lot, but I think some of the players on the team were not in the best mental state. I really tried to find ways around it. I think sometimes it's just what it is. We could not get together, and that was because of me. I was expecting a newborn, so was not willing to travel, which would have helped to maybe help the players, like some of them, like turn around their kind of mood, and you know, there was like a lot of lack of confidence and overthinking and just bad shape, honestly. Like, if I'm honest, like just pretty bad shape, which could maybe have been turned around if we were together, and we didn't get that opportunity. So it's like an addition of factors that made the preparation quite lackluster despite our efforts. So I think going into it, we kind of knew that this is we're not in great shape right now. And I think it showed right away against Nigma in the Nigma series. Yeah, okay, we won that series, but it was quite lackluster compared to how well we can play, and we kind of felt it. So yeah, we were kind of stuck in that state. And then of course, the birth happened, and we got the bad news from PGL that they would not allow, at first they wouldn't allow stand-ins whatsoever, and then they would not allow for stand-ins for more than a series or like a full day, which I don't even know what the difference is, but that's their own, like, they're too smart for me, but like one day, whatever that was. So we were kind of forced into either playing the full qualifiers without me, even though I could have been ready. I don't know if these people have kids, but you don't control when the baby comes. It can come a month before, 2 weeks after, you know, that's just nature for you. So it was hard to kind of know and to plan ahead. So it's a big dilemma, which is, do we compete without me even though I'm ready, or do we try to compete with me and I might actually have to get replaced for 1 day, 2 days, maybe the whole qualifier. Yeah, everything is kind of up in the air, right? And we're talking a month's difference, like a month time. So I think all of that also maybe added some stress to the team, even though the team was kind of protected from it until the very, very last, because I didn't want the team to be stressed. Maybe it added some stress to the staff and myself, because we were trying to navigate through that. And in general, I think it's crazy that in 2024 we still don't have subs in esports, you know, like I mean in esports, in Dota, because you have them in League, you have them in other esports. Any mature discipline should allow for subs. And now my case was like a birth, but you know, God forbids, but some players might get in a car crash, you know, break their hand, like lots of things can happen in life. So yeah, we're all trying to stay in like adapt to the Dota rules and staying behind, like in locked doors in a room, to not hurt ourselves, because they won't allow subs. But I think it would be nice for like instances to kind of, you know, be more in touch with where esports and Dota is these days. And the stakes are high, everything has professionalized, and some things are just still lacking and still behind. You know, I'm being told about integrity of competition and all of that, and of course I'm the first defender of that. I would never push for like an advantage, and if anything, that situation was like a disadvantage, an obvious disadvantage for our team, because we would have played with a substitute that we haven't practiced with. You play without your captain, obvious reasons, right? So it's not so much about the integrity of the competition. These arguments are kind of full of shit, because this is not about us trying to get a buff or us trying to get like so yeah, it's just unfortunate, you know. Such is life. You deal with what you're given, and in that case we're given pretty messy situation. If anything, I hope that can be like a lesson moving forward, that teams need to have a substitute, and that has to be allowed in the rule book. It's a bit silly that I even have to explain why at this point. I think it's kind of self-explanatory. Long way to say that the TI qualifier ended up being quite tough for us. We couldn't turn it around. I think we came in weak, and given what happened, it made it even worse, if that makes sense. So that results into us getting knocked out. You know, it is what it is. We're looking at the future, and luckily for us, we're flying next to Riyadh for the EWC, biggest tournament of the season. I guess all our brain power and hard work and resources are all focused on that, and we're really trying to kind of make up for that and to bounce back. The preparation has been really good so far. I think it's exceeded all expectations, even though we're halfway through as we speak right now. Yeah, I think we had a rough last sequence of qualifiers, and generally we just underperformed a lot, which is really what gets to us. I think it's not so much the losses or the wins, it's like how well we play. So played pretty well in ESL Birmingham, got top 4 there, and then managed to lose the TI qualifier to supposedly easier competition. So rough times. So going into this preparation, we didn't really know what to expect. We were just ready to work really hard, but somehow things started off really well and really good. So I think we're, since we started pretty high and we're working very hard, I think we might be in really good shape going into EWC. The mood is, kind of reflecting how well we're playing. I mean, we usually always get along really well together, so us getting together already ups the mood. And since we're also playing really well and kind of looking at the game the same way, maybe it's slightly early to tell, but high chance we're gonna peak at exactly the right time. EWC would have been very, very important no matter what. I think lots of Dota players look at it as being the equal to TI already. There were even rumors that it was going to be bigger than TI in terms of prize pool and whatnot, which I don't know if it's still going to be the case. So I think in people's mind throughout the season, it was even going to be maybe more important than TI. But yeah, I think the season now really has two kind of peaks at its end, which are EWC and TI. So no matter what, this would have been like a cornerstone for us, and we've been kind of looking ahead at this tournament throughout the entire season. And now the fact that we didn't make it to TI makes this tournament twice more important for us. So this tournament is everything, basically, for us. I mean, in terms of results, we're aiming for top 1, as always, for every tournament. And what would we be happy with? I think anything below top 5 would be a huge disappointment. And if the preparation keeps going as it is, I think below top 3 would be a disappointment. I think our chances of breaking into the top 3, if we just keep improving and keep it up, they're very realistic. Compared to last year, it's going to be day and night. I mean, the roster I think doesn't have the same potential. I think this roster has much higher ceiling. This roster's struggle throughout the season has been getting everyone on the same page and getting everyone to align. In a sense, it's my failure because I mean, I really tried, but sometimes it just didn't work, and I take responsibility for that, even though I knew it was important and I was trying to make it happen. But for some people it takes longer. Sometimes you get lucky. For instance, I have really good synergy with BZM in particular, and I know it's because we won together a tournament, and these things just make it happen. Sometimes, because what I asked from the team and what I required for this tournament is blind trust, for them to actually be soldiers and just really follow basically whatever I tell them in terms of what should we play, how should we play, how to win Dota basically. And I know so I'm very grateful that they are giving me that trust. I know it's hard. For some people it's easier than for others. For some people they just can't do it ever. And from experience, I know that once we win together, once they see it, then it becomes easy, because they taste winning and then they're like, I want more of it. Throughout the season, it's been rough, if I'm honest. I spent a lot of time fighting that resistance within the team, which is all time spent not getting smarter at the game, time spent not kind of dissecting other teams and breaking them. I know it's hard, it takes time, it's nothing special, I guess. It's the normal flow of things. Sometimes it comes quicker, sometimes you get lucky because you win a tournament early in your road and then people get along and tag along much quicker. But all of that is behind us because I think right now this is actually happening, and I'm sure of it, I feel it. Therefore, I think we're playing much better, we're much more aligned, and that just wasn't the case last year. So if we keep that up and we draw the right conclusions in terms of what's good, what's bad, what is the patch like, what are other teams doing, how to beat them. To me, I'm 100% confident that that team can go the distance. And then it's gonna come up to other teams, how good are they gonna be? I mean, definitely looking at Falcons, I think it's hard not to look at them. They're one of the dominant teams. They're playing at home, I guess, even though they don't have a single I mean, they have Amar, I guess, right? He's the only MENA player. I know that they're the team that's gonna be get the biggest support there. Yeah, and they beat us last time on LAN. There's also that factor where ourselves were much better when the stakes are high. So that's also gonna be a buffer to OG. So we're coming in strong. There's gonna be the LAN buff. Hoping to get back at them. Who else? I'm quite curious about Extreme Gaming, his team. I think this team is going to be very strong also. Lots of really strong teams. It's going to be hard to tell, honestly. Basically, the state of Dota right now is like all the teams coming in. If they peak at the right time, they could be the winners. Like I could see Spirit win it. I could see us win it. I could see Gaming, Falcons. I could keep going with the list. Like Bed Boom, Extreme. All these teams are Liquid. I'm forgetting Liquid. All these teams are incredibly scary. So it's hard to pick one. And so right now, we're scrimming teams and we're getting a sense of like who's where in terms of their levels. We're in a good place. That's what I can tell you. I mean, the whole EWC concept of bringing that many games together, I'm a big fan of it. Honestly, when I first heard about it, I had doubts just because I thought it was going to be like kind of too big of a challenge in a way, if that makes sense. But I think they did a great job at it and they succeeded in a very short amount of time, which is quite impressive because I thought these things were going to take like, I don't know, 5 years to kind of get put in place because you need to convince so many people and put in so much resources and so much work into making it happen. But I think I don't even know how long has it been, 3 years maybe, or 3, and we're already at that stage. So props to them for making it happen so quick. I think it pushes esports forward, which is a great news for all the industry and for everyone that's in the industry. That includes me. So super happy about it, honestly. I think it's a great success and I wish it the brightest future. And yeah, we're super glad to be part of it, of course. And as for the MENA region and the rise of like Saudi Arabia within esports and the region as a whole, being Lebanese myself, I can only tell that, you know, it makes me really happy. I've been like seeing esports at like a local level in MENA for so long, and I've kept wondering like what the hell is even going on? Like what are we waiting? Like why don't we have players from the region, tournaments? They were local tournaments like for a long time ago. Like my first tournament in MENA was like maybe more than 10 years ago, but there was nothing really put in place, even though I always thought to myself that this region sounds like one of the best in the world for it. Maybe Swords can be challenging at times because of weather, but esports, we surely don't care about it. Geographically, it's like a central hub for the entire world, like Asia, Americas, etc. So it's kind of close to everyone. There's like a lot of arguments for why this region should rise within esports. So about time. But I'm super glad that we're there. And when it comes to Dota, the scene has like the region has developed like incredibly fast. We went from not having a region for now this region being like one of the strongest. And I think it's really pushing new teams and new talent from the region also. So all of that is amazing.